So if you're a business owner, how can you protect against your phone system being hacked? This is Dave at AFX Search, licensed investigators. A lot of times we come in to an investigation where there's been some fraud or some very extraordinary bill for phone service on a business account. A lot of times what happens is over a weekend, there'll be a lot of activity on a phone system for a company, and they'll get a bill a couple weeks later for tens of thousands of dollars for calls they didn't place. And usually the way it works is if you have a phone system, not a single line phones, but a PBX system or a VoIP system, and you retain default passwords on any one mailbox. It doesn't even have to be the main system password, but any one mailbox has a default password. What can happen is that people or fraudsters in third world countries will call in, and if they hear a phone system answering, they can tell by the way it answers and the mechanics of that interactive voice response what type of system it is. Is it a Alcatel? Is it an Avaya? Is it what other kind of system is it? And they'll start testing for default passwords. They'll hit extensions, extension 100, extension 104, and if they find one with an open password or a password like 1234, once they're in, they can program a mailbox to forward calls to any number they want. Now, why would that help them? Well, many third world countries have very high exchange rates with the U.S. So any call that comes into some countries, there's Caribbean countries that are notorious for this, countries in southwestern Africa that are notorious for this, even South American countries that have a connection fee of $2 or $3 per call or 50 cents per call. So they forward the incoming calls or even the voicemails to one of these third world countries. And then over the weekend, they have an auto dialer just keep hitting that mailbox and dialing out hundreds or thousands of times. By the end of the weekend, there could be a $10,000 phone bill. Well, the hacker is in cahoots with a phone company in that third world country, and they get a kickback. And it's not something that you can fight with the phone company. It's not something that AT&T or your phone carrier is going to dispute because it was a legitimate call and it was an open system. And they have to pay it. If AT&T doesn't pay it to the third world country, then that country won't accept any more calls from that phone carrier anymore. So they have to take these calls. And they're probably not going to eat it. They're going to take it from you because you have a contract with that carrier for your system. Great way to prevent this is to first, if you don't need it, to block all outgoing calls to international destinations. If you do need to open up a couple countries because you have customers there, that's fine. But by default, you should block all outgoing calls. If you do allow outgoing calls to a third world country or even international, have a PIN that you have to put in your system, and don't make it 1234 because that'll help cut down on the calls that go outbound. If you've had any kind of fraud in your company, phone service, computer service, even financial fraud, it's the kind of thing we investigate. We can track down the source, track down the method, and eliminate both the people that are doing it and the process that's allowing the fraud to take place. Our website is AFX Search, and we're licensed investigators.